Left foot on the brake, full throttle, launch control active. Log on to WapCar.my for the latest reviews, comparisons, and car prices to help you find your next perfect car. And don't forget to click on the subscribe button. Hello everybody, it's Adrian for WapCar.my and I'm all about the details. Right now, I'm driving the 2020 Volkswagen Passat Elegance Facelift. It was recently launched in Malaysia not too long ago and now we're behind the wheel of it. So I won't bore you guys on the exterior changes because honestly it's not that much and you really do have to squint your eyes to be able to tell that what's new with this Passat facelift. You get a different grille, lower bumper, wheel design, the headlamps cluster is also now with adaptive IQ light branding function. Yeah, really it's not that much. The biggest telltale sign is over to the rear where you have the Passat emblem, the lettering spelled up across the tailgate underneath the VW logo. This mimics what you get in the Volkswagen Phaeton, which was their ultra luxurious sedan back in the day. The tail lamp clusters, they now have that dynamic function where they do a little kind of light show when you unlock and lock it. Quite cool, much like an Audi. So I'm going to dive straight into the biggest concern of the Passat facelift, which is its engine, the 2-litre TSI turbocharged petrol engine. It's still the EA888, but it's the third generation model. So what does the third generation model mean? It means it has its internals reworked and all that to comply with the latest WLTP emission standards. So you know that this car is efficient and emits very low toxic gases. But a lot of you might be thinking, oh, it's a down-tuned engine from the previous pre-facelift Passat, the 2-litre TSI. That one is a Golf GTI engine with 220 horsepower. Yes and no. Okay, so this engine has no relation to that engine anymore in the sense that this 2-litre turbocharged, this 2-litre TSI engine that I'm driving right now, this one replaces the 1.8 as well as the 2-litre engine in the pre-facelift. So globally, if you want to get a 2-litre TSI, it's only this engine in two states of tune, which is the 190 horsepower as well as a 280 horsepower. The 280 horsepower, definitely they are unable to bring it to Malaysia because that would jack up the car price way above the 200k mark, which is why we get the next best thing, which is the 190 horsepower. And if you're asking, the 1.8 TSI, this engine has been discontinued globally for the Volkswagen Passat. Immediate impressions of the 2-litre TSI. Well, 190 horsepower sounds like a lot, but I don't know, I'm not feeling it. It doesn't feel like 190 horsepower. It certainly doesn't feel like it has 230 Newton meters of torque. The boost from 1500 RPM, right now I'm cruising and I prod the throttle. I'm legit prodding the throttle and the car just overtook me from the right side. So this 2-litre TSI, I don't know, even though it's a 2-litre, it makes the car feel very lethargic, very slow, very boring to drive. Let me try putting it in sport. What? Sport. Okay. I doubt it's any better lah. Whoa! Sports mode is how this engine comes alive. The throttle response is completely different when it was in normal drive mode. It's so direct. It works with your right foot, and the 230 Newton meters of torque just pulls all the way to 6,500 RPM red line. You just feel it throughout the rev range. Wow. What this tells me is that in D, this car is 100% for efficiency. It's a smooth cruiser, it's for efficiency, and if you put it into sports mode, that's where you have a little bit of fun. And this new 7-speed wet DSG, it's one more ratio more than compared to the pre-facelift 2.0 TSI. That one only had a 6-speed. This one is 7. And this transmission actually has the code name of DQ381. It's essentially the same transmission as you find in the Volkswagen Golf R, yes, that hot hatch Golf R, except adapted for front-wheel drive application in this Passat. And whoa, I have to say, the shifts are not only immediate, but it's seamless. Blink of an eye, you're in the next gear, you're in the next gear. You don't even feel it. But the best part about this Passat, and it's the funniest thing, is that it has launch control. So first thing, you need to turn off the traction control system, put your transmission into sports mode, left foot on the brake, full throttle, launch control active, and you're gone. And does 0 to 100 in 8.1 seconds. Combining TSI as well as DSG, the greatest outcome is not performance, it's fuel economy. And in the Passat facelift, it shows. Based on our WapCar fuel consumption test, which is a very objective test, we managed 6.5 liters per 100 km for this Passat facelift. And given its performance, dynamism, as well as fuel economy, the combination of all three things together, this is far, far better than any of its class rivals. For example, the Mazda 6 as well as the Toyota Camry. Both of them are using measly, naturally aspirated engines that doesn't hold a dime against this turbocharged engine. And you're paying far less road tax in this 2-litre. There are also other little features that makes your daily life in the Passat a lot more enjoyable. For example, you're able to use the keyless entry unlock system on all 4 doors. The Camry, only one side. The Mazda 6, only the front 2 doors. This one, all 4 doors. And it makes it so convenient that if you need to put your kids in the back seat first before you're starting the car, you can just immediately walk up to the rear doors, open it, and throw your kid inside. Well, not literally throw, but you get what I mean. I know a lot of you are gonna say that the Passat facelift, you know, it's not as good as the pre-facelift because 1, it has lesser horsepower, 2, it doesn't have the dynamic chassis control, which allows you to change the suspension setting between different drive modes. I understand, I completely understand that. But make no mistake, this Passat with its passive suspension, with its detuned horsepower with just 190 horsepower, it's still a fantastic car to drive. It handles well, it has a very premium ride quality, that German continental feel. The bumps and humps doesn't upset it, and the steering is sharp. This, on the highway, cruising on the highway, effortless. Effortless. It's just so smooth, so comfortable, so confidence-inspiring when you're on the highway. You know, it's just a car which you sit back, relax, cruise effortlessly, overtake people effortlessly, and that's what the Passat is for. But there's one downside to the Passat, and a very glaring one I might add, is that it lacks ADAS, Advanced Driving Assistance System. It doesn't have autonomous emergency braking, radar cruise control, lane keeping aid. All it has is blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert, which works very well. But in today's day and age, consumers are moving towards these kind of technologies, these kind of active safety technologies. And the Passat, given at its price point of 190 plus thousand ringgit and doesn't have ADAS, yeah, I don't know, it's such a deal breaker to me. But let's find somewhere to stop and I'll walk you through what other new cool features are there in the Passat facelift. So after you've enjoyed driving the Passat and you come to a complete stop and you take a look around the interior, you realize that there's quite a number of things going on in here. And it all starts with this 9.2-inch Discovery Pro touchscreen infotainment system. It's available on the Mark 7.5 Golf range, and what I like about this infotainment system is the operations are very fluid and the visuals are very crisp. And in the Passat, it supports wireless Apple CarPlay, so you have your iPhone here, you don't need to connect through a wire to play CarPlay. But if you're like me, who uses an Android phone, you will still have to plug in with a wire. But all the connecting points in the Passat Facelift is a USB Type-C, so make sure you get the correct cable. There's one in the center console here, one in the armrest, as well as one charging port for the rear passengers. As for the driver, there's now a new 11.7-inch LCD instrument cluster, which Volkswagen calls it Digital Cockpit. Now, it's a little bit smaller compared to the pre-facelift Active Info display, which measured 12.3-inch in size, but that's no issue at all because the Digital Cockpit has a lot more customization options and it looks a lot more higher definition compared to the Active Info display, so it's a lot more pleasant to the eyes. The customization options, you're able to display different types of driving information on either side to suit your driving needs, and you still get to project the navigation map onto your LCD screen. Now, in this Digital Cockpit, what Volkswagen has done is they've removed two gauges, which are the coolant temperature as well as the fuel gauge, out from the LCD real estate, so the entire LCD screen is slightly smaller. Another thing I noticed on the Discovery Pro as well as the Digital Cockpit is that their accent lighting changes according to the ambient lighting color selected, and there are 30 colors to choose from. So for example, you choose purple. The accent lighting on these two screens turns purple as well. How cool is that? The rest of the cabin is pretty much faultless. I love the new generation steering wheel, the buttons, controls are all very easy to use. This brushed aluminium trim, massage function for the driver's seat, and side door bins which you can fit a large size water bottle. However, there are two things that I don't like in this Passat facelift. First thing is this. They've removed the analog clock, replaced by a very honestly cheap looking square plastic with a Passat logo on it. I mean, come on, I know that I'm driving a Passat, you don't have to tell me this. And next up is the infotainment system. The screen is very high definition, good to use and all that, but it's a fingerprint magnet. If you plan to be chauffeured in the Volkswagen Passat facelift, I have to say, the rear bench are amazing. I have the front seat adjusted to my usual driving position and I'm 175 cm tall. This is the amount of knee room that I have. Incredibly spacious. Space in the footwell, no complaints whatsoever. Headroom, pretty decent. Although I have to say there's quite a large transmission hump on the center passenger. Other amenities in here include a dedicated climate control for the rear air vents, center armrest with two cup holders, my favorite part, being able to fit a large size water bottle on the rear side door bins, no issues at all. Side sunblinds and powered rear sunblinds. So, how do I sum up the Volkswagen Passat facelift? Well, they've made incremental improvements to make the car feel a little bit more high-tech, special, as well as user-friendly. The engine, even though it's slightly down on power compared to the pre-facelift 2.0 TSI, is still a very strong and healthy engine, and most importantly, it's a whole lot more fuel efficient. It's a shame though that the facelifted Passat doesn't come with any form of ADAS, no AEB, and not to mention no adaptive cruise control. But if you're in the market for a highway cruiser, this Volkswagen Passat facelift should be at the top of your list. Its German ride quality, features, driving dynamics, and not to mention the insane amount of space inside makes this a fantastic companion on the highway. As always, thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos like this, and let us know in the comment section below whether would you pick the Passat over a Japanese rival.